Hi, I'm Musar, and today I want to talk to you about track breath. Now, track breath is a concept I came up with to help me with my transitions, both within the different segments of my song and between the different segments of my song. I've started to use it as a teaching tool for showing how different transitions can be felt, as well as the overall transfer curve, or the energy transfer curve specifically, of your song. Track breath at its core is a very simple concept. You have a white noise generator going through a low pass filter. And obviously that's useful for creating risers and downlifters, and that's literally where I got this idea from. And just to create variation between things, I added on these extra controls that attach to a tremolo that I made with Ableton's Auto Panner, which sounds a little bit like this. Which again is really useful when you're designing different transition sounds. Lately, I don't even have this playing when I have it in my projects. I tend to have it muted more often than not. I can get a visual indicator of how I want my energy to transfer, how I want these transitions to feel. What I have here are 3 different ways you could transition. Like, you could look at this as, the end of a section going into the beginning of a section. Or you could look at it as kind of the middle section in your larger phrases. And we're just going to take a quick listen to these 3 different transitions so we can see how they make us feel. Each one's going to take about 5 seconds. So if you feel like you don't have enough time to get the impression of it, feel free to rewind the video a couple times and really ask yourself what it is that's different about these 3 transitions, how they make you feel compared to one another. Hopefully, you got somewhat different emotional responses from those. And if we changed it around so that it went down and then up, there would be a slightly different sensation. So, real quick, let's just do that. And now this is the same exact thing, but in reverse. So again, very different feelings of energy, of tension, of transition. And you could play around with this endlessly. You could play around with slopes. You could play around with gaps. You could play around with seamless transitions or with staggered transitions. And what I end up doing most of the time is, in my project, I'll put track breath in. I'll set it out to the length of my whole song. And then I'll just start automating. I'll figure out, where are my transitions happening? How do I want it to flow? How fast or how slow do I want that to take? Do I want there to be any variations in how this goes? Or do I want it to be the same sort of transition every time? Or do I want it to be maybe a longer transition at one part and a shorter transition at the other? Depending upon the genre, if you want, you can leave it in. If you're making house music or techno, dubstep or trance music, all of these genres, they accept white noise pretty readily. But even if you're making pop music, or you're making hip hop, or you're making R&B, or you're making country, or you're making rock and roll, this is still a useful tool for producers and songwriters and Anyone who is trying to create a feeling of motion throughout their song and have that piece of music change over time based on these. You can look at this now as the general amount of information you want, or the general slope for your filter sweeps, or for how much you want to add a reverb or a delay to a certain section. There are a lot of ways you can apply this tool to your productions, so the only limit really is your imagination. And really, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you found it useful, please let me know. Give me a like, a comment, a subscribe, maybe even. If you want to see this type of content more regularly, I do a Twitch stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if you want me to make these videos more regularly, consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much again. Have a great day. Bye.